Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream. Today, Ron Nicoletti along with Ashley Mayu. Just been beautiful weather here in South Florida over the last few days. Woke up the other morning and it was a little cool.
It's been really cool. It's been a breeze the last couple of days, at least where I am. We always joke we're not that far apart from one another, but it might rain in one place, not the other. It's been breezy. The humidity's died down, so I'm sure the horses appreciate that. It's funny. I had a owner from Fort Erie text me yesterday, and he goes, "What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? The track conditions?" I said, "Well, I don't know about the dirt. Hopefully no rain, but Topeka, we're always fine with that."
Yeah, exactly. And we got about 100. Actually have $125,000 jackpot guarantee pool in the Rainbow Six. 8 races this afternoon, so it starts in race number 3. The first race this afternoon is going to be on that fast main track. 6.5 furlongs, maiden claiming fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, 20,000. Let's check out your early pick 5 ticket.
Looking at the early pick 5 sequence, I go too deep in the opener. I thought there's 2 directions to go. You go to the horse on the rail, Camisio, or you go to the 3, Shea on a Mission. Those are the 2 that I use there. Race 2, I'll go too deep as well. Looking at this field, Passion Plus is intriguing. This one was claimed several starts ago by David Brady. Still needs to hit the board, but I think that's the spot to do so. I also use the number 5, Starship Malamar, because I think when you look at trips 2 back on the turf, I think this horse, as long as this one kind of runs well on the synthetic, might get the perfect trip. Now, race 3, I decided to spread in here. This is 2-year-old maiden fillies going 7 furlongs in for the $25,000 tag. I use a couple firsters in here, I should say. I use the 1 as well as the number 7, Only Girl. That's actually a second-time starter, as well as the 2, Dominant Joy. I'm curious to see if this one will be dominant in terms of the money and the win pool. Just 8-5 on the morning line, a bit of a short price. Race 4, 2 runners in there. The 1, Citizen West, and the 2, Absolute Grit. Hard to kind of knock either runners. And then to wrap things up, 3 deep, 5.5 furlongs on the main track, $50,000 maiden claimers. I spread in the maiden races today. It's been a key thing here. I used the 2, the 3, and the 6. The 6 is a bit of a price on a first-time starter, so $36 for the early action.
You know, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. There's 2 ways to go in this opening race. You either go with Shea on a Mission, who's plunging to the 20 level after running up in New York. But Camisio is the one I put on top along with you. Let's go back and just show this horse's last race from the 8th pole home. And this is sort of cautionary tale. Horse is 4-5 that day, and this is twice in a row. This horse didn't get there. Now we're dealing with a sealed sloppy track. But I think this is a good race. Just ran out of real estate.
Yeah, and that's kind of been a common occurrence in those last 2, is run out of real estate has been closing hard. You can kind of factor in, as you mentioned, it wasn't off track that day. Seems to be training well, though. Has a nice bullet drill on the 15th of Palm Meadows. I like this one. She really hasn't done much wrong.
Well, what told me was the stretch out to 6.5 furlongs. I think this horse with the additional distance today, Edgar Zayas, of course, for Antonio Sano, thought they were logical too. But as you mentioned, you could go with 3, Shea on a Mission, who's up plunging to the 20 level and getting the blinkers removed, finishing 5th. That was against those New York state-bred special weight runners, going 6 in the mud up at Belmont during June. It's Carlos David, Sammy Camacho. I think this is a logical spot.
Yeah, Sammy and Carlos team up at 22% at Gulfstream Park the past year. You mentioned plunging down in class. They're taking the blinkers off, which from an angle perspective, 18%. This is something Carlos doesn't necessarily do often. If you want to maybe, make a case against this horse, we haven't seen this one since June 4th, but I will say has been working out pretty consistently. You can see some works at Monmouth Park, then shipped up here between mid-September, early October. In the last 2 drills, one of them has been a bullet on October 10th, so seems to be training well, but a pretty significant drop.
We have a cold super here. We don't usually do that. The number 4 horse in here, Sade Purse. I went back and listened to how Pete called it because I was calling it Sade Purse. So it's Sade Purse, stepping up, stretching out. Now, if you go back and look at this horse's last race, broke slowly, but really closed nicely to be second in its debut, going 6 for Steve Dye, Jose Batista. I think a logical player on the ticket.
I do too. You can say stepping up in class, but had trouble on the debut and still was just second best in there. And when I say second best, I mean this horse was clear of the 3rd place finisher by 4 1/4 lengths. So it was a strung out field, but I think she really kind of stepped up there. And I don't mind this horse now stepping up in class.
Yeah, I think it's a lateral move. You got a lot of guesswork here with Shea on a Mission. We haven't seen this horse, and of course Camisio seems to like to finish second, at least the last couple of races. Let's go to race 2. This one is about 1 mile and 70 yards on the Topeka. These are claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And we are in agreement again with the top pick in here, and I think you're right with Passion Plus, who's going to try 20 open claimers after rallying to finish 4th. That was against those optional claimers, but it was on the Topeka for Dave Brady. Edgar Zayas atop this 6-year-old mare.
They claimed her for $16,000 3 starts back. She was second behind Yolanda's Pride, came back to win next time out. And then what did they do? Stepped her up to an overnight handicap. She finished 5th. She was against some tough horses, Summering, Kahiko, Kelsey's Cross. There was a ton of backlash on her. And then I thought last time out overall, it was a good performance. I just think this is kind of the level she probably needs to be at, and probably enough to get her back in the winner's circle.
And with the old food angle, you went with the number 5, Starship Malamars. Did you have Malamars when you were a kid?
No, they weren't my thing. Are you thinking like
They're like a
the
chocolate
Mallow Cups?
covered, marshmallow.
Yeah, no.
No, I
Those
didn't like
kinda-
them either. I just thought maybe that's
We
the reason.
agree on that for once, right? She's one that was claimed 2 starts back for $20,000 off the Steve DeWaskin barn, now in the Carlos Perez barn. Disappointed last time out, faced a pretty nice horse by the name of Don't Get Cozy. Big thing is, though, that most recent race is going 7/8 on the dirt. I think this horse prefers the turf. Her 2 of her 3 career wins have been over the surface. Her only dirt win was over the wet going, so that kind of maybe equates to something there. And I think that race 2 back, it was a perfect trip for her. She was in the $20,000 level, so if she can kind of translate her form to Tapeta, why not?
I think the horse in here that nobody uses. I looked in the form too, and it's the one horse, Charger Jen, stepping up the competition after returning from the layoff. I thought ran okay, rallying a 4-wide second. It was only beaten 3/4 of a length in that race. Why I like this horse? It was 12-5 claimers going the same distance on the Tapeta. Now low. David Baracco doesn't win that many races, but he's a good rider. I just think you can get a little bit of a price with this horse.
I think you'll definitely get a price. I'd say last time out it was a good performance, though. The horse was 28-1. Lady J, pretty nice horse, who's won a couple in a row, if I'm not mistaken now, and has kind of been able to run on anything that's been under her hooves. So for me, yeah, the most recent race is great, but what do you do with the other races before that freshening? I don't know kind of what made the difference. Those races were really lackluster. So I think you're taking a chance. Recent form's been good. If you go down the page, you may convince yourself otherwise.
Well, the Peter, I thought, was maybe the reason this horse, woke up. It could have been as simple as that. We have a Tapeta Star on the rise with the number 1, Charger Jen. The number 6, Money Fact, is going to give that surface a try after showing some late interest. Went 4th against those 12-5 claimers. That was on that good turf for Joe Catanese, Luca Panici. Joe's horses have been running very well. He doesn't win that much, but his horses always seem to be there at a price.
They always seem to at least get a minor share. This is a 7-year-old mare who, she didn't win any races in 2020, but 3 starts back. That second start off the long layoff, she was able to get a win at the 12-5 level. They stepped her up. Not a great race here on July 18th. And then last time out, she was pretty far back, had to tip out very wide at one point, and still was rallying strong. So when you think of the Tapeta, it's going to be her first race over the synthetic surface, but she might have that late closing kick that we've seen has fared well over the surface.
Well, that is the first 2 on the card. We'll take a short break. Come back. We'll have my Rainbow 6 ticket and lots more.
And they're off. Second in the 2-path. Round off first inside. Race. And a 1/4 of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Couple of minutes after noon. Ron and Ashley here. Race number 3 will be 7 furlong maiden claimer for fillies, 25,000. Had a scratch in here at the 5. Jockey on the 4, Marcos Meneses. I did go. Let me show you my ticket. I did go with Dominant Joy on top of my ticket, but I also used that first-time starter Elabra and the number 8 horse in there. I think it's Fleche d'Amour. I'm going to find out about that when Pete calls it. But I think Dominant Joy is there. I went too deep. I like Citizen West today, especially with the scratch of the 3 horse in that race 4. So, and Absolute Grit is the other horse I used. I like making it look easy for Kathleen O'Connell today. 8-1 on the morning line. I think you gave us a good stat on that. And then in race number 6, just too deep, Bohemian Rhapsody and Julie Bird. And then in race number 7, What do you do with Pretty Rachel? I mean, the drop to the 6,250 level, I don't know if that's a lateral move, why they did that, but this horse has won, going for, I think, 6 in a row or 5 in a row. So I use also Dinner at 5. And in the last race, 3 deep with the Louis Roussel's Heels of the Soul, Royal Biz, and Mindship Q, who I believe is a bit of a price, 12-1 on the board.
I think looking at your ticket overall, we agree. I think we're going to have some stone cold tries in here, at least exactas in the upcoming races. And I think the only race that we maybe differ is race 6. I went with a long shot in there.
Yeah.
That's where I went for a price. And race 7, what do you do? Are a lot of people going to single Pretty Rachel? Probably. She's really accomplished at that distance. But you mentioned the tag that she's in for today is very curious.
Very curious, and it's just so hard for those type of claim, those low-level
going.
claimants to keep it going like that. She is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Getting back to this here, the number 2 horse, and I don't know if you had this one on top, Dominant Joy, who sandwiched a good second place finish sprinting on the dirt at the 25 level with a pair of clunkers really against special mate winners on the turf. Goes back to the main track for Safi Joseph Jr. I think we have dueling stats in here. We'll go with your stat first.
I'll show the formulator stat here. It's just looking at this filly, and you mentioned her form, something that's going to happen today. First time blinkers in her career, and just looking at his numbers with maidens the past 2 years, 29% in terms of wins, 52% in the money, with a $2.11 ROI. So Safi must think that she needs blinkers. You can see she has kind of broke poorly in her races. She's been towards the back of the pack every single time, so maybe they're hoping to put some more speed in her. 2 starts back, that might have helped her on the dirt, but there's a curiosity behind her with going back in for 25 on the dirt.
Yeah, here's the other stat I found here with Dominant Joy, Safi Joseph Jr. with his 2-year-olds going turf to dirt, maiden special weight to maiden claiming. He's 4 for 8, 50%, 100% in the money, $395 to return of investment. So 8-5 shot. We're giving you lots of statistics here, but the horse is 8-5.
Yeah, there's not much value there, Ron. I mean, the other curiosity is raced well on the dirt for the 25, and then they said, let's try the turf one more time and jumped her up. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, and it's just a curious spot, but it is Safi, and you get Edgard in the saddle. We both went with the 1 horse in second, Aloe Bra, who's a daughter of Mishawish, debuting from Mr. Ralph Nix.
Yeah, and this filly was training at Saratoga for a bit. You can see some works there over the main track as well as the training track on the turf there. Her work since coming here, I think they've all been pretty sharp with maybe the exception of one. She had a bullet drill back in August. Only those 2 works with some big gaps. You see September 19th to October 13th, but very sharp workers. With firsters, the barn's about 13%. It's a good angle. And I like seeing Sammy ride for the barn.
What about the number 7, Only Girl? I put her in 4th. You have her in 3rd.
I think it's a tough toss-up. I mean, we were between the same 2 horses, the 7 and the 8. Patrick Biancone, the firsters have been doing well. The only thing I thought about Only Girl is she didn't break too impressively at the $16,000 level over the slop. I think that's a tall task to be off the pace so far back and try to make up ground. She did make up ground. She kind of rounded out the superfecta. The big number here, though, Jose Pinchin with the maiden second time out, 21% from a limited sample. So I think there's room for improvement for her.
The number 8 horse, the other horse, as you said, we got our last 2 flip-flop. Fleche d'Amour is a daughter of Cupid by Tappet, debuting for your, as you mentioned, from Pat, with 10 Palm Meadows workouts showing a preparation for his first start. I think you watch the tab here. You see if this horse is taking all the money, and I think that this barn, when they're live, you could see it in the betting window, or at least in the odds.
We've seen some really nice 2-year-olds this season. You think of Diamond Well, the filly for them. The name's escaping me. They had another one race like the next day that I think finished first or second on debut and came back to win. So pretty nice with their 2-year-olds. This one was a $40,000 purchase. You mentioned it, though. The works aren't great, but you have to watch the tote board to see what other people might be thinking.
Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon. 6 furlongs, claimers, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life. 20 down to 16. Had a scratch in here of the number 3 horse. And Citizen West is stepping up to face winners. We're just going to go back and show you this horse's last race. And it was amazing. What I want to point out, besides the horse just running away, look at the quarter time and the halftime. This horse was running. I thought this horse was going to stop, and it did not.
You stole my thunder. I thought it was so impressive, and I actually watched this race near Mr. Louis Roussel, and I said, do you realize how fast your horse went, especially just for that level? The horse was racing in 5 furlong turf sprints, went out to 3/4 on the dirt, and that's sizzling for 12.5 maiden claimers.
And you know what Louis does? He just steps him up to face winners, and he puts him in a logical spot. Non-winners of 2. You would think that this looks like a horse that people he is a horse that this is you can single on the card. I went a little different way. We got another cold super in here.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know today. In this, MCL Jaramillo, right, is going to go for 2 in a row on Citizen West. But what about Absolute Grit going to the Jorge Delgado barn?
That's the intrigue, right? A barn that almost wins at 30%, 28% to be specific. First off the claim, Chantel, one of their go-to riders for the outfit. Pretty nice third last time out. Kind of was drifting at one point in the race, a little green for a 4-year-old, I'd say, but only missed by a length and a half. Prior to that, it was certainly a step up. It seemed like the drop in class helped this one, and now going to an outfit that knows how to do it first off the claim.
Yeah, and what a day Chantal had on Sunday, winning 4 of the 9 races we had. Just an incredible, good performance. And then Lost a Legend, going to change barns, goes to the Carlos Perez barn after that claim. Finished second against those 20 condition claimers. At this distance, it was a good performance.
Horse is 3 for 4 in the money. Facing winners for the first time off that long layoff after breaking the maiden. Didn't fare too well. I had to face Rough Entry, who I think was on a win streak for a bit, kind of at similar competition, maybe a little tougher. Then you mentioned second best last time out. I don't think I used this horse in that spot, but that was off a freshening again. So it's first off the claim, second off a bit of a layoff.
Yeah, I had him a little further down, and with the scratch of the 3 horse in that bar, I moved this one up. And when I looked at it to say, well, who am I going to put in third? I said, boy, this horse ran fine. So one of those horses, take a second look at. Race number 5 this afternoon, 5.5 furlongs, maiden claiming filly, 2-year-olds, $50,000. This is where the late pick 4 starts.
When you shared your Rainbow Six, you kind of asked, what do you do with Pretty Rachel? My single on the card comes in race 7, and that allowed me to spread earlier. So in the opener of the sequence, used 3 runners here. I think the 2 and the 3, kind of all eyes on them in some regard. Actually used the 6. I like Kathleen O'Connell's, but I thought the 6 had some sharp workouts, enough workouts with some progression, 8-1 on the morning line. So I used 3 there. Race 6, I threw some darts here. There's some interesting horses that just broke their maiden last time out. Was intrigued by them. One of those horses being the number 8 in here. I think this horse is really intriguing. Emperor's Song raced 5 furlongs last time on the turf. A good performance. I also used the 2, the 5, and the 7. There was a scratch in here that changed my picks a little bit. I mentioned I single Pretty Rachel in race number 7. I think she loves the one-turn dirt mile here. And then finally, race 8. I believe you liked the number 9 in this race. I think you used this horse, Heals the Soul, coming off the long layoff of over a year. And then I also used the number 10, Smooth Music. I thought they were pretty much the safe bets in there. So $12 in the late pick 4.
Yeah, the race 6 where you went to 4 deep, and then that was the big scratch on the day with Royal Habibi, who was 8-5 on the morning line. And you're absolutely right. I think it opens up that race. Getting back to this race of 5.5 furlongs for these maiden claiming filly 2-year-olds, $50,000. I'll kick it off here with the number 7, making it look easy. Who's dropping to the 50 level today after showing speed and fading. That was a state-bred, a special weight debut for trainer Kathleen O'Connell. This one's a half-sister to a multiple stakes winner called Joy's Rocket. I was looking for a price. Luca Panici, you have a stat.
I do have a stat. I believe I played this filly on debut, and she didn't quite make the cut for me. But this is something to just know. The past 2 years, when Kathleen drops horses from maiden special weight level to the maiden claiming ranks, she's 7 for 28, 25% for wins, 46% in the money. A $2.01 ROI. So when you look at this, though, you just look at maiden second time out, 12%. But when you really start digging the last 2 years, you see some big numbers on the drop.
Yeah, and it's a $75,000 daughter of Valiant Minister, so they thought enough for this horse. $75,000 is a pretty good price to get it. So that's my long shot in the afternoon. You had a little further down. But you are right. The horse to beat in here, I believe, is the number 2, Amazing Trip, who's the daughter of the Big Beast, debuting for Gilberto Zerpa.
The Big B stands for $4,000. This horse sold for $25,000, so nice little lift there. It's a firster for Gilberto Zerpa. That's the big thing. You can see 9-5 on the morning line. A string of really solid works. I mean, I don't think this horse has ever had a bad work from what we've seen here in terms of published works. 21% with firsters, 23% at debut maiden claiming. This is all based on works and stats for me.
Yeah, and the jockey-trainer combo of MCL Jaramillo and Mr. Zerper are hit at 24%, I believe, so that's a good angle. And then we both were used in second, I used in third, and that's Aretes Chalice. Stepping up, stretching out, responded in a $35,000 maiden sprint. That race was moved from the turf to 5 furlongs on the sealed sloppy track. Was just beating the neck. Was a pretty good race.
Just missed by neck. Sneaky Cheek, I think, ran a pretty nice second the other day here at Gulfstream Park while facing winners. And You know, this was a horse that they're trying to get back on the turf after the debut. They decided to keep this one in the race over the sloppy going and just missed by a neck. Had some trouble out of the gate. Henry Colazzo and Chantel teaming up here. We saw last meet Henry Colazzo with some long shot horses win. So it's a horse that, from what we've seen so far, a logical play. She is stepping up, but out of the horses that race, I think it's safe to say she's shown the most.
Yeah, I think she's going to ride. It's 2 and 3 in the 7. Like I said, my long shot on the afternoon. We'll see how that one runs. Race 6, about 5.5 furlongs on the Tapeta. These are claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 in life. There was a scratch in here. I believe the number 2 horse in there. Pete will be up in a couple of minutes to give you all the changes you need. You went with the number 8 horse in here. Well, I find interesting too, and that's Emperor's Song.
Yeah, this was my price horse all along. We mentioned the number 6 Royal Habibi looked tough in here at 8-5, scratched out of here. Changes the complexion a little bit. Also probably means 8-1 on my filly. Maybe not realistic at this point. She was a pretty nice winner last time out. She's able to draw clear in there by a length and a quarter at the 12-5 level. She's going to face winners for the first time, I think, at the right level today. The big thing I want to point out, you may look at that race 2 back. I'm going to disregard it. It was going a mile. If you look at those races since the layoff, very strong sprinting on the turf. Hopefully that translates to the new surface.
Yeah, and she had some trouble at the half-mile pole in it. She had to steady in that race, so she ran pretty good in there, and that is the number 8 Emperor's Song. I did go with the horse you have in second on top, and that's Bohemian Rhapsody, who's returning from the layoff, is going to try the Tapeta for the first time. Really consistent campaign sprinting on the turf against very similar quality. Gilberto Zerpa, here's MSC El Jaramillo hooking up together again, handling the surface switch today.
It'll be interesting to see the tactics with this filly because the last time out, she did not get the clean break that we've seen from her in the past, and she tried to close from off of it. She wasn't able to do so, but when you look at her races 2 and 3 back, even 4 back, her one move is to go to the front. So I think she's a huge part of the pace scenario in here. We've talked about the Tapeta, how horses now that at least the last couple of days, we have seen the bias that we called it kind of go away a little bit. We have seen some front runners. So she's certainly going to have part of that early pace scenario under her control.
Yeah, it changed completely for me. And I always make the joke, as you know, I'm in print 2 days before. I said, stalk or close a bias. I think 4 of 9 horses went to the front and won. So it changed. It's good to keep an eye on early on in the day to see how the Tapeta's playing. With that said, number 2, Julie Bird, the Irish bred, stepping up to face winners today. This one was pretty good on the sealed sloppy track. How about Antonio Sano? He's been good on the Tapeta. I think he's like 5 for 26 or something like that.
He's been really good. He's had a lot of horses on it, but he's found a lot of success. Miguel Vasquez jumped aboard her last time out for the first time, and she finally graduated in start number 14. And I think the thing that I have reservations about her is you go down the page, and there are so many races, not just because I played her, but she went off favored, and she couldn't graduate. It took her a while, but last time out they teamed up. Was one of her better performances, even from a numbers perspective in her career. So she too, just like the number 8 Emperor's Song, facing winners for the first time.
Yeah, we'll see how they run. And they all have to prove, if they haven't ridden on the Tapeta yet, that they can handle it and they like it, So, and what I've seen with the Tapeta really is that you have to, I think all horses run it, but it looks like when I talked to a couple of jockeys, trainers, when they come back, said the horses have to be fit to run on it. It's a deeper surface, so, and that's important. And these horses to go on, and it doesn't seem to have a problem. If you have speed or your stalk, I think you just have to be totally fit to handle that deeper surface. With that said, we'll go to race number 7 this afternoon, and this is a mile claimer. Fillies, 3-year-olds of fillies and mares, 3 and up, non-winners of 4 and up, non-winners of 3 in life. And this is where we got the question we have to answer with the one and only Pretty Rachel. Let's just go back and show you this horse's last race. Just pick it up from the 8 pole home in the slop. It's just just putting a bow around how this horse runs. There was nobody around this horse. Somebody tried to make a move late. This one impressed me the most because, it was number 5, I believe, in a row.
Yeah, she's won 5 races in a row, and it seems like each time the margin has grown. Her margin of victory has just gotten bigger. That was almost 7 lengths in the end. She's been favored in her last 2. She actually didn't go off as the favorite in her first 3 wins, and she's been intriguing too. They started her on the dirt. She breaks her maiden. Then they put her on the turf for a while, and now since getting her back on the dirt, she's been unbeatable.
What do you make of the $6,250 level?
I don't know. It seems like for a while they were finding 12.5s going the mile on the dirt. So I don't know if I can really make the case. I'd have to look at the condition book. Was there not a spot for her? Or do they think she's ready for a race now? It's been about a month since her last race, and that's kind of typically how they space them. So maybe this was the only spot for them over the next few days. I'm sure there was a 12.5. I don't know. It seems like she's been a good investment for her last two trainers.
Yeah, I guess if they lose it, you can't blame them for having the last two trainers winning 5 races with her. The number 4 Dinner at 5 is stretching out to a mile after back-to-back, I thought, well-meant second-place finishes against Simla, going 7/8 of a mile for Gilberto Zerpa. Miguel Vasquez trying to get this daughter out of second gear, this daughter of Ken Tharos.
I guess a good thing for her, she doesn't have to face Beyond Heavenly, who's beaten her in her last 2 starts. She definitely has a case of second-itis, though. You look at the last 2 years, just look at her record, but then when you look at it individually over the course of the last 2 years, 18 starts, 7 second-place finishes. That kind of shies me away from her. The other thing being her last 2 races have been at 7/8. She's been nipped at the wire. Now she's got to go an additional 1/8 of a mile.
You know, I had the number 2 Baby Lion in second. It was 4-1 on there. So I bumped up the number 3 Cocoa Pebbles. And once again, like earlier when I had a scratch, I looked, this one dropping to the 6,250 level again. Going back to the dirt, finished third against those 12.5 claimers. Going to mile 70 on the Tapeta, and that was the first race after the claim by Bobby DeBona. I think this horse is going to run exceptionally well in this spot. I might have had this horse maybe a little further up behind Pretty Rachel if I didn't have Baby Lion in there.
She's sneaky in the sense that last time out I thought it was a good performance. She went favored in that Tapeta race and she finished third. She's getting back on the dirt. I know 2 starts back, she was no match for Pretty Rachel. Now, prior to that, she had run second in both of those races against Pretty Rachel. But go down the page, I mean, her last win was at the 62.50 level going a mile. She's had success at the distance. And we mentioned it, Bobby DeBona very well off the claim. He's yet to have a horse this meet finish worse than third.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's having a really good. He had a great summer campaign too. The final race on the Thursday card, about 5 furlongs on the Tapeta. Maiden claim is 3 and up, 12.5, and boy, you can't go wrong by having Louis Russell somewhere on your ticket. This one is dropping to the 12.5 level on the Tapeta, getting both Lasix and blinkers today. First start since finishing third. Now that was a while back. It was against those state-bred runners up over at Gulfstream Park West. So, but Louis spots his horses perfectly. He's not afraid to drop them.
I don't know what to do with him. I can see him winning, and I still used him on top looking at the other horses in the field. The other thing, too, has some experience over synthetic. The debut was at Presque Isle Downs, finished second, closed from off the pace, only missed by a length and 3/4. So pretty good performance on debut. Next start, good as well. Well defeated, but Advanced Cash was clear by 7.5. So I guess the concern is a year layoff. But they're trying different things now. They're putting blinkers on, Lasix. I don't mind those angles. The drop, that's always a good angle for Louis Russell. The only thing that gave me reservations about showing the drop was that just the 6-month-plus layoff. Louis doesn't do this often. He's 0 for 9. I think all my stats are always really positive for Louis. This is the only one that made me think a little bit.
Yeah, I spotted that too. I'm going to put my glasses on to see how I missed the number 10 Smooth Music. Exactly. Second choice on the board, and this one from the Kent Sweezy barn. And you know, just going to the Tapeta after, a couple okay performances sprinting on the grass.
They've been okay. The first one, not great. I liked that second time out sprinting on the turf for this outfit at the $16,000 level, was forwardly placed and finished second at 23-1. Now, because of that good performance and the way that the outfit has been, kind of performing, took a lot of play last time out and disappointed. Actually, Mindship Q, the one in here who I think we both have some interest in, beat this one. So it's a little bit of a toss-up here. If she can he can run the start that he did 2 back, I think he's got some say in the final outcome.
Yeah, maybe I should have used this one close. I was just looking back.
Yeah.
I did go with the 3 Royal Biz, who you have in fourth, I have in second. And this one is departing from an improved post today, which I like. Last time broke from post 10, rallied to finish third. Now was disqualified in place 6 for interference at this level and distance. That was on the Peter Pernell Bagwandine is the trainer. And you're getting, Sammy Camacho going in today. He's the leading rider.
Very different. 45-1 last time out, finishes third. 5-1 on the morning line this time. You wonder, was it the synthetic? Was it the second time started off the layoff? I will say, when you look at his performances, maybe not in terms of finish, but kind of the narrowest margins of defeat, one of those races was on the turf, one was on the synthetic. If this horse is like a really big number on the tote board, I definitely would use underneath in the try.
I like the fact that you used the one along with Mindship Q, who's 12-1 on the morning line. And this one sort of got mugged at the 8 pole when finishing 6th behind that disqualified Royal Biz. I was going to go back and show you this performance. I didn't do it, but just got wiped out in there. And I thought that, if you like Royal Biz, you got to use Mindship Q for Gustavo Mayo, and you're getting a bit of a price today.
I completely agree, Ron. I think last time time out had trouble, first time on the Tapeta, so let's give an excuse there. The winner was Vicmar, 2 starts back. This horse is only a length and 3/4 behind Vicmar, and obviously the record tells you this horse likes to have some say. About third of the time finishes third in the races, but the trip, I would have loved for that horse to get a clean trip last time out to see if this horse could kind of move up on the surface. So we'll find out later today.
I like that. Has some say. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. I'm going to steal that from you. Okay, that's the 8 races, and now we'll go to the lightning round this afternoon. And as Ashley and I do each and every Thursday, we started off with the jockey and trainer standings. And I sort of tipped the hand here. We're showing you the jockeys first. And you're going to see Sammy, just 12 wins, 1 over Edwin Gonzalez. Boy, just a great day. Edgar, was out of town a couple of days. It's just, they just keep changing places. Like to show that.
I like that it's a close race. We don't see that too often. You already mentioned, too, we'll talk about it in a minute, but Chantel had a really good weekend here last weekend at Gulfstream Park. So excited. The race is on. All of these riders, if I had a horse, these would be some of my top calls right there.
And the trainer standings, of course, very early on. And Safi up there. Oh, tied. Yeah, David Forks just on fire. He had won 5 races in a row, including the first 3 on Sunday.
So when I looked at the past performances, I wasn't here on Sunday, but I said, I think he's going to have a big day. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a day, but a lot of success for those outfits. You mentioned Antonio Sano, 6 wins, has had a lot of success on the synthetic so far. And then so has Mark Cassie, Jorge Delgado. These are kind of the usual suspects. But David Fox, what a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, 5 in a row, and I think a second in there, too. So that was carried over from Saturday into Sunday. We got the Stronach 5 again on Friday, October 22nd. And there you see we're going to have 2 from Maryland, I believe, 1 from Saturday, and 1 from Golden Gate is back.
Yeah, Golden Gate is back. That's the first race day since the return, since they've had a break. Santa Anita with a race in there. And you mentioned 2 from Maryland, a really exciting next few days at Maryland with Maryland Million Day being on Saturday. So it's a nice little, I guess, kickoff for that.
Yeah, we'll show you that field tomorrow, but you can check it out on First Bet to see a pretty nice race. It's a wide open, great betting race. Oh, the big part you see right there in the right-hand corner, $76,000 carryover going into the Stronach 5. So I like that. So we got the $76,000. There'll be, I guarantee you, $250,000 in that.
I think so, too. I think that's going to, I've already seen it on Twitter. People are already kind of salivating over the carryover and excited to get involved.
Well, we mentioned David Forks, so let's go back and show you his when he notched his 3rd win in a row on Sunday, and just a good performance with the Golden Soda. This is the horse that they poo-pooed the other day and didn't make me pick, and I didn't do it. Closed nicely to win. He just could. He was just unstoppable. He's 6 for 10 on the Tapeta, 60%.
Crazy numbers. And you kind of mentioned this, too, with the outfit. 3 wins in a row on Sunday. They won their last 5 starts. I mean, that's like unheard of. It was funny. I'd keep on going on Twitter. I'd see the updates. Oh, it's David Fox, so really excited for them. They've always supported racing down here.
And as we alluded to earlier, too, Chantal won 4 of the 9 races. So let's put a little capper on that. We'll show you the stretch run of Royal War, winning the final one of the day for Chantal. And just a good performance, big favorite in there. This one just cruised under the wire. But, boy, winning 4 or 9, that's pretty darn good.
That's a really good day. They all won sort of differently, too. It wasn't like she was riding all pace setters. Some horses were coming off the pace. Some were kind of jumping up. So I'm sure she was excited. I saw her on social media. She had a good day at the races. She went fishing to celebrate, caught some really nice fish. So excited to see her. She's one that, recently moved her tack here during the winter and has found a lot of success.
She actually rode Golden Soda for
Yep.
David Forks, that one we showed you earlier on. So that is the lightning round. That's how we see this Thursday card. Good luck with all your picks out there this afternoon, and we'll be back here later on. See you later.
And they're off. Second in the 2 path.